Ain't even gonna lie, man, I definitely messed with this thumbnail. But does Dr. Voodoo still hold up in 2022? Alright, what is going on, my dude? So Dr. Voodoo is now in the 6-star featured pool, which means he'll probably make his way to the 6-star basic pool rather soon. Maybe you pulled Voodoo and you don't know if he still holds up in 2022. Well, guess what? That's the freaking point of this video, man. We are going to find out today if this guy still holds up in 2022. Now, Dr. Voodoo is one of those champions who came out back in 2017, and he hasn't really received any synergy love since. So everything Voodoo did back then is pretty much what he does today. He got one synergy with Sorcerer Supreme down here, and it's pretty decent for him. Essentially, Special Attack 2 can convert up to 3 of any buff instead of only his Loas, okay? So that is nice to have. However, unless you're specifically going for like that massive power control that you need, you don't need it. You don't need it, and Dr. Voodoo is fine on his own. And that's one thing that's great about Dr. Voodoo is that he is fine on his own. He needs absolutely zero synergy to do anything that you're going to see in this video. Now, there are some synergies that are definitely going to help him to a certain extent. The way that he works is that he has a 10% chance on every hit to place a Loa buff on the opponent. And you can kind of increase that just a little bit if you throw on, like, you know, Hawkeye and Quake onto the team, right? That's going to increase this, give you plus 10% ability accuracy. But what that's going to do is give you 10% of 10%, and that's, you know, quick math. 10% of 10 is 1. So instead of 10%, you have an 11% chance. So does that really matter? Honestly, no. So this is literally making absolutely no difference whatsoever if you were to do that synergy team, all right? Now, let's talk about the way Voodoo works. Unfortunately, if you have him unduped, he really does have to be awakened. He really does. His sig ability is very important. Now, it doesn't have to be at a high sig. Sig 20 is more than enough, and this entire video will be at sig 20. So, passive, Brother Daniel. Brother Daniel will possess either Dr. Voodoo or his opponent, moving between them based on Dr. Voodoo's combo meter when he uses a special attack. Now, combo even. Dr. Voodoo is possessed, gaining 100% increased ability accuracy and 88% increased buff duration. That goes up to 125% at sig 200. Odd combo. Opponent is possessed, gaining 50% decreased ability accuracy and 88% increased debuff duration. So both of these are really good for different reasons. Of course, there's a lot of utility baked in there. So one thing that's really nice, you get 2150 energy resistance while you block. We'll show that in the video. At the start of the fight, you regenerate 4500 health. That's awesome. Those are your Loa buffs with all attacks. Special 1. This is your bread and butter right here. 50% chance to envenom each of the opponent's buff, nullifying it and applying a poison, dealing 7500 direct damage over 20 seconds. Now, if you are awakened, you want to use this special attack on an even combo to have a 150% chance, let's just call it a 100% chance, to convert every single buff on the opponent into a poison. Now, if you do it on an odd combo, there's still a 50% chance, but they last 80 to 125% longer. Depending on the fight, you might need either or. More often than not, in my opinion, I think it's better to convert all of them at once. Now, Special 2. This one gives you a little bit of back and forth here. 50% chance to convert up to 3 Loas, nullifying them and placing either a buff on himself or a debuff on the opponent based on current combo meter. Of course, that's 150% chance for even combo. All of Voodoo's attacks gain a 50% chance to burn 2.5% of opponent's power, converting 525% of power burned into energy damage lasting 15 seconds. Odd combo. Target leaks 35% of their power over 10 seconds. Both of these two things are very useful in different situations in different ways. Very potent power control. Same for the Special 3. 100% chance of applying a power leech to the target, stealing 45% of max power over 20 seconds. Okay, so these are all very powerful abilities, and I'll show you how they work against a Winter Soldier very quickly. But keep in mind, we're not even going to do a full Winter Soldier fight because, you know, Voodoo is the type of champion you bring against a specific opponent, right? This would kind of be like if I'm showing you how Human Torch does against Winter Soldier. Probably wouldn't do too great. Probably fly under the radar for a while. So what we're going to do here is convert these Loa buffs into poisons, and I'll show you in 1 second. Ready? At an even combo, Now I'm running Mystic Dispersion 3 out of 5. As you can see, we got those Spirit Venoms, right? And those are going to last for 20 seconds. If you want to see it at an odd combo, 50% chance, it's going to look like this, okay? 50% chance for those 3. We got lucky, we got 2. They're going to last longer now because of the SIG ability, okay? Now the special 2 is really, really good, and the power control is pretty darn crazy on the special 2, and I'll show it to you, okay? So first things first here. Boom, boom. Wait till you guys see this power burn if you haven't seen it. Watch Winter Soldier's power. It's pretty nutty. If that wasn't enough, watch this. We can go even crazier with this. Watch his power. It's actually kind of crazy, man. Like, the opponent, like, they will not gain power if you get both of these up. And now, by the time the first one is gone, right? Oh, look at that. We're back up at this thing. So yeah, as you can see, lots of utility baked into this guy. Not too much damage, right? Well, wait till I show you some of the freaking damage in this video when the opponent has a lot of buffs. Like I said, you're not going to bring Human Torch against Winter Soldier. You're not going to bring Human Torch against champions who are Mystic and don't have energy damage, right? You bring Voodoo against champions with lots of freaking buffs or lots of freaking power. You control their power and you destroy them with poisons from their buffs. And he does it pretty darn well. So let's start jumping into that today. Up first, I want to start with a really fun one. Now, I tried doing this fight with the 5-star a few months ago. I couldn't do it. Couldn't get him done. I have adopted a different strategy at this point. And it's an interesting one. So the way the champion works is that he builds his persistent charges. That lagged, I don't know what's up with that. He builds his persistent charges up, right? If you don't nullify his furies and if you don't build your combo meter above 20. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let him build his persistent charges on purpose. On purpose. I'm not going to control the fight, right? Also keep in mind, I was running the Suicide Masteries in this fight. And I'm at 100% health because of the regen. Makes him like semi-kind of usable with suicides in the right scenario, but more often than not, the rest of this video, he won't be using it. Not the most suicide-friendly champ. But now, watch this. He's going to be gaining a massive amount of buffs every time he enters his primal range. And this is what I want, because I want to be nullifying all of these buffs at this point. Okay? 5 Furies, End Unstoppable. Check out the Spirit Venom on this guy. About to be 21. 21. Look at his health. And now we're power burning. Look at his power. Look at his power. Look at his health. Let's just let him tick all the way down. All the way down, man. All the way down to 10%. Just like that. Just like that. So that was pretty darn effective, man. Pretty darn effective. Now, I made an enormous mistake right there. Because now I won't be able to dex his specials because he can't throw it. So amazing start to the fight. Definitely messed up. Let's skip forward just a little bit here until that's done. All right. And now at this point, I got to get 2 more dexes out of this guy, right? And boom. There we go. And here comes the special 3. And we got this guy down very, very, very effectively, right? Just 3 out of 5 Mystic Dispersion, I feel like is the nice sweet spot for Dr. Voodoo, right? When the opponent has lots of buffs, you are going to have a good time. Now, let's say you run Acid Wash in Map 7. Well, this is a little bit beefier than Map 7. This is Acid Wash King Groot in Act 6.3. This is the beefiest Acid Wash fight in the entire game. King Groot, by the way, being a wonderful opponent for Dr. Voodoo, and you'll see why in this fight, okay? So, wonderful start, right? Had to keep that in. Great time. How about this? I did this on purpose. Watch his regen. Check it out. No, let's go back before we do that. Watch this. Down 15%. So let's say you go into the fight at 85% health, right? Look at that. You're all the way up. You are all the way up. 1 second. The computer's freaking out here. All right. I think we're under control. My computer was having a little bit of a freak out, but we should be good. This fight is insane. I want to make sure that we're able to watch it in all its glory. Let's check it out, man. So, one more time, getting hit by the heavy attack, right? If you've ever fought King Groot, if you ever used King Groot, you probably know there are a lot of buffs, right? Well, watch what happens consistently. Boom. 5. Okay, that's a decent amount, right? We're going to build up those lower buffs. We're also going to hit him energy resist while holding block. Resist the energy on the special too. Now, let's go for another one of these. 6 Furies, 1 Loa, 12. Gonna go for a special 2 to reset my power. He's immune to the power, right? The power drain stuff. But let's do it again. 6 Furies, 1 Loa, 15 poisons. And King Groot is just melting. Absolutely melting. Let's go for one more. 2 Loas, 6 Furies, 1 more of these guys, and we finish this fight in under 60 seconds about at 100% health while eating a heavy and essentially starting at 85% health. 48 hits, 1 hit received. Very solid. Very, very solid. Now, there are lots of, speaking of King Groot, lots of like weird nodes nowadays, right? So power reserve, paradox thingies. We're doing some Act 7, man. This is do they hold up in 2022? This is Act 7. So, combat deja vu prowess. Whenever the attacker lands the same type of basic attack twice in a row, the defender gains a prowess buff. Okay. That kind of sounds like something that we can use to Voodoo's advantage. Now, this is not the only type of node like this. You use the same attack twice in a row, they gain unblockable. They gain something else, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff like this all the time. But we're essentially using this to our advantage here because we want King Groot to have as many buffs as possible. So here, check this out right away. 12 poisons. Ticking for 7k per second. Reset with the special 2. He's immune to all the power drain stuff, doesn't matter. 12 poisons, now up to 17 poisons. This is Act 7.3, I believe, here. And King Groot, watch this, energy resist. King Groot is just melting. Throw on 6 more. You see how, like, the difference between Winter Soldier, who had about the same amount of health as this King Groot, compared to this here, you can't really use Voodoo against, like, those vanilla matchups. You can, because he puts the buffs on the opponent, and then you convert them with a 10% chance. But for me, when the opponent has buffs, Voodoo is going to have a good time. So I wouldn't want to use him anywhere else. But look at this. We got through this King Groot as well at about 100% health. That's really, really good. So let's go see some more fights with lots of buffs, right? For me, Voodoo is really good, not just against like types of nodes with buffs, but just defenders with lots of buffs in general, okay? So Groot, for example. Groot's not the hardest defender, but he's just a quick example of a champion with a crap ton of buffs, right? He gains them randomly, gets his Gentle Giant, I Am Groot, whatever the heck it's called. Look at all those buffs. That is Voodoo food right there. Check it out. Let's convert them. All of them. Oh, 18. 18. We're ticking for about 10k per second here. No suicides, no nothing, no synergies for this. We have a combo party node increasing our crit damage by a little bit, but that is the most irrelevant thing here possible. Now, Groot, by the way, as well, shrugs debuffs off faster. So imagine if this was like a different champion with all these buffs, right? Every time Kabam releases a big cosmic champion with all these buffs, Voodoo can do this as long as they're not immune to nullify or poison. By the way, watch this. This is really great. Could have done it again, but it was just too funny. So let's keep going. Let's go for Venom. Okay, Venom obviously has lots of consistent buffs that Clintar buff keeps going and it keeps resetting over and over, essentially continually keeping Voodoo in the match, right? You don't have to rely on that RNG, because without natural buffs, Voodoo only has a 10% chance to place a buff on the opponent. And honestly, that's not good enough, especially in 2020. That does not hold up, right? But against certain matchups, against certain nodes, Voodoo is one of the best options for it, just because of how powerful his buff control is, right? When you're awakened, 100% chance to nullify all buffs, the power burn, the power leak, everything he's got going on. By the way, one thing I actually forgot to mention that he's so good at doing as well is that if you parry the defender at an odd combo, you can have like a 7-hit combo or more depending on sig level, because that parry stun, that is going to increase, okay, the length of the debuff. So this Venom right here was flushed down the toilet as well with the King Groot and the other Groot as well, and the other King Groot too, and the champion boss, all hanging out in the toilet down there together, right? And yeah, quick and easy, man. Now we'll go for Thor as well. We'll watch this Thor fight. Now, Thor has some natural buffs, but not as many as Venom and King Groot and Groot. He has a Fury buff that comes, right? So we're going to have to kind of rely on RNG a little bit in this fight, but this is, you know, Act 6.3 health pool, pretty high, over 300,000 health. Let's see how Voodoo does against this, right? Relying a bit on his natural buffs, okay? So first things first, what I'm going to do here is I want to actually build up for some power control against this guy, just to keep, you know, consistently having him in the corner here, not having to worry about baiting specials, and just plowing away on this guy so we can get as many buffs on him as possible. Check out his power bar, man. Absolutely nuts. Actually nuts. The power control potential, man. And this is only, by the way, Mystic Dispersion 3 out of 5, which is very realistic and practical for anybody to run. You can get the Mystic Cores for free from the Mystic Side Quest, or trade loyalty from them as well. Okay? And I forget the exact number needed for 3 out of 5 MD, but it's not a lot. 4 starts to get a little expensive, and 5 out of 5 definitely gets a little expensive as well, but 3 out of 5, not so much. But even without major, right, buffs on Thor, we got through him pretty well here. Not too bad at all, man. So we talked a bit about the energy resistance on his block, and you've seen his power control. This was that magic with 100% combat power rate on the way to 6.2 champion, okay? So, her Limbo is energy damage. Every time I see Limbo, I'm gonna block, okay? Also keep in mind that he has that defensive ability accuracy reduction on his odd combo, right? So check it out. Here, we're healing, we have some energy resist, and we also may have mitigated it a bit with the defensive ability accuracy reduction, okay? No Limbo there, that's cool. But what I want to do here is I want to build up to a special 2. As you can see, there's a big difference between when I'm blocking and when I'm not blocking for the energy resist, okay? We're almost there. We're almost at the 2 bars of power, okay? And now, going for this. Watch her power bar. If she can't cross a bar of power, she's not going to be able to activate Limbo at all. And with this power burn, right? Keep in mind, this buff on us gets even longer at higher sig. This is just sig 20. 80% increased duration, which is pretty much all you need. As you can see, once we had the fight under control, it was done, and there was no getting back to it. Absolutely no getting back to it. By the way, I think I said something in that magic fight about defensive ability accuracy reduction. That only happens if you have the Brother Daniel passive on the opponent from using a special attack at an odd combo, which I'm not sure if I had that against magic, but just so you know, the way that works is that you get those odd combo benefits if the passive is under the defender's health, and you get the even combo benefits if the passive is under your health. So you get the increased ability accuracy and buff duration when you have it underneath yours, and you get the increased debuff duration and the 50% decreased opponent defensive ability accuracy reduction when the passive is on the opponent's side. Just wanted to clarify that in case anybody was confused. So, up next, we have 3 more interesting fights here, okay? Arc Overload, Armored Assault, Boost Buff, and Critical Setup. So this is the type of thing here where it's like if there are nodes where there are buffs that give the defender certain attributes, right? Right here, if they have a regen buff, if they have an armor up buff, they're unblockable, right? That's annoying, right? There are lots of nodes like this. There are tons of nodes like this in the game, and there's always new ones being added. So Voodoo is a great option for keeping the opponent locked down like this, okay? And just getting rid of all those blocks, all those buffs. So I opted for the power drain here, the natural power drain, because I just wanted it to be consistent. I didn't want to rely on the power burn. I wanted to just make sure he just kept going down while I kept him in the corner here. Okay, so like I said, power burn, power drain, they both do very similar things, and they're both very, very effective, okay? So if there's passive power gain, by the way, you do want to go for this one as well, the odd combo, because you don't want to rely on having to hit the opponent while they're passively gaining power. You want that steady creak of like power being drained, right? But as you can see, Voodoo is doing a very good job handling this fight. Don't have to worry about the buffs. Don't have to worry about really anything here, right? We're just keeping Iron Man in the corner. We're doing a very good job controlling these buffs. Keeping our combo at evens. There's a 100% chance to get rid of all of them. Very important. We're still up at 100% health, which is definitely pretty decent, right? You always want to keep an eye on your combo meter here. And now, Iron Man's natural arc overload is about to activate, but it's gone. It's just gone. And one more from the node, and he's flushed right down the toilet. That was a bit of a longer fight, right? But it was very controlled the entire time. What Voodoo does so well is control the fight. He isn't always a speedster. If there's like a mass amount of buffs, he turns into a bit of a speedster. But for like this type of content, right, where you want to control the fight and play it safe, he's not always a speedster, but he definitely has that control the entire time. So up next is a really interesting one here. This is the type of fight that Voodoo should not be able to do. But his power control and buff control is so good that he's able to. And I'll show you two different ways of doing it. In the first half of the fight, I'm going to control the fight through power control on the special 2. On the second half, through special 1 and nullification, okay? So, as you can see, this is like meant for a science champion. Whenever a science champ activates a special attack, they have a 100% chance to place an enervate on the opponent, right? And that stays up the entire fight. Spidey 2099, so good here. Like those types of champions. Mr. Fantastic, Void, right? Both the attacker and defender gain a passive fury during their special attacks based on the defender's power. So below a bar, 25% attack, while between 1 and 2 bars of power, they gain 75% attack, and while above 2 bars, they gain plus 200% attack. So Super Skrull's special 2 is going to hit pretty hard on the block. There's also Power Snack here and Feed of Energy 1. When the attacker reaches a bar of power, the defender gains a power gain buff, granting 100% of a bar of power over 4 seconds, and they also have special 2 bias. So, let's see how Dr. Voodoo does against this Super Skrull here in 7.3. This is definitely a very tough fight if you're not like having a perfect counter for it, okay? So, like I said, for the first half of this fight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be controlling the fight with the special 2, and then I'm going to switch to going for nullification, okay? Now, the special 2, like I said, is going to hit very hard through the block because of that passive fury. But keep in mind, it would do even more if we didn't have that energy resist. At this point, we're going to watch his power, all right? Watch his power here. He also has the falter on me, of course. Pretty darn decent. Pretty decent. Now there's lots of buffs. Lots of buffs to control. We're going to trigger that. We're going to go for this. This would have been a great place to have the Sorcerer Supreme synergy, right? So that we can convert his buffs into the power burn. Unfortunately, we couldn't do that. We had to eat another special 2 on the block. But that's okay, because now we're going to be switching to this. We're just going to be nullifying everything, turning it all into Spirit Venom. And Super Skrull is another defender who just gains buffs on his own while you hit him and gains more buffs when he uses specials. So Voodoo versus Super Scroll is a very, very good matchup. Now, I have one more fight to show you, and this is a very fun one. This one is very interesting. Unlimited Power Terrax in 6.1.5. So unlimited power. For each debuff the defender has suffered since the start of the fight, every 10 seconds they activate a permanent fury buff, increasing their attack by 25%. If these fury buffs are nullified or removed in any way, the defender gains 15% of their max power for each buff nullified. But when Terrax is in his rock field, he can't use specials. So this is going to be a fun matchup here. Now, when I did this lane, I had to bring a specific counter just for Terrax. So it's not out of the question to bring Voodoo just for Terrax here, okay? Mystic Ward, enemy nullify effects have a 95% chance to fail. Buffet as well. This is going to be a very fun fight. Now, the first thing I want to do here is parry and get away from him so I can hold block and pick up that energy resistance right here. Okay, so as you can see, when I'm away from him, first of all, I can't get damaged by the rock field, but when I'm close to him, I have that energy resistance when he comes rushing in at me. So now, every time you parry, right, you put a debuff on the opponent, of course, and that's going to increase the amount of furies that we can get from unlimited power. Now he has 8. Now we're going to start having some fun. He cannot throw a special attack while he's in his rock field. So we're going to consistently stay in our even combo and keep trying to nullify all of these buffs. And as you can see, we're getting just enough to cycle these special ones. And this guy is up to 23 poisons. He's being so aggressive. And now he has 41, and he is just absolutely melting, completely melting against Voodoo. Now, you can't do this for every single fight, but like I said, man, I brought a specific counter for this Terrax because of how annoying he was. So it's not out of the question to bring Voodoo along specifically for this Terrax fight, I think, because I think he does it really, really well. So does Voodoo still hold up in 2022? He's definitely very good still and can do a lot of things in the right matchup. In vanilla matchups where there aren't a ton of buffs to take advantage of, Voodoo would not be my first choice. But much like Blade, when he works really well. The game is so expansive at this point with over 215 champions in the game that you can't really rely on like 1 or 2 champions to do everything. When Voodoo works, he works really well, and I definitely think he still has a place in the game in 2022 and going forward. Alright, my dudes, that's going to be it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, drop your boy a big ol' like. Comment what you think about Dr. Voodoo in 2022 as a 6-star in the comment section below. And make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos just like this coming to you in the future. I'll be seeing you around.